Hello, welcome to the first episode of Beyond the Surface. As you can see, I am surrounded by clothes and we are in my closet because I don't have anywhere else to record this series, and this is it. We'll be here for the whole thing. I hope you enjoy it. It's great. So today we're going to talk about the importance of that didn't sound great. Today we're going to talk about the importance of understanding our emotions, digesting them, accepting them, and then moving forward. The reason why it is so important to reflect on this subject is because as I grew older, I realized that so many of my friends struggle with taking the time to understand why they feel a certain way about different things, trying to allow themselves to feel those emotions, but then also work on them. I think if we don't take the time to understand where those feelings come from, then we're kind of like just sweeping everything under the rug and hoping that they will disappear, but they won't. And we're just collecting more and more garbage. I personally think that if individuals take the time to understand why they're feeling, for example, angry or jealous or, I don't know, frustrated or whatever, then there are so many good things that come with it. For example, when you allow yourself to sit with your emotions, you are already practicing patience, because knowing that you're feeling this way, first of all, it brings awareness. So you're constantly aware of yourself and your thoughts and how you're reacting to certain things. Self-awareness is actually very important. So you're like, okay, this is frustration. I recognize this feeling. Let me sit down and understand where this feeling is coming from and why I'm feeling this way. So you're already not acting or reacting impulsively. You're allowing yourself, you're giving yourself time to really digest the feeling. Sometimes you need a moment, sometimes you need a day, sometimes you need 2 weeks. But I think to be patient enough with yourself, to allow yourself this time, this period of time, to really reflect on the matter that came up, on the feelings that it's brought with itself, will allow you to take your next step more wisely. And I think it will also act as damage control. You're not going to say anything right away or do anything that will bring a lot of regret and could possibly hurt a lot of feelings or even burn a lot of bridges. We don't want to do that. Maybe let's say this frustration is caused by a person. Once you've understood your own feelings about this matter, I think the next step is to go up to that person, reach out to that person and say, hey, this is how I'm feeling. Let's talk it out. That is something that a lot of people struggle with. To reach out to a person that's caused a certain emotion could be difficult, because first of all, you don't know how they would react. Second of all, they could totally ignore your suggestion to like sit down and talk it out, because unfortunately a lot of people don't want to have hard conversations. But it's really in these hard conversations that so many misunderstandings are fixed, so many broken hearts are healed, and so many beautiful moments are saved, because people are able to put their emotions and thoughts into words and truly express how they're feeling and what they're thinking about something, and how they can help one another to move past this thing and then keep moving forward together. sometimes people say that they have control over their emotions. They don't have to process them. They don't have to understand them. They just like don't think about them, and that's fine. Those feelings magically disappear after a while. But that really isn't true. When you think about it, if you talk to the people that do that, they all say that those emotions at some point come back. And if you felt frustrated in the first place and you decided to not do something about it, then that frustration is going to come back multiplied, and not only in the form of frustration, but in the form of anger, disappointment, impatience, and so many other negative feelings, negative emotions. When two people, and this comes from experience, when two people, no matter how close they are, they might not have actually a clear understanding of each other's habits and character, or process of thinking or whatever. Two people, when there is conflict between them, when they come together and they choose to truly listen to each other, also try their very best to put into words why they're feeling what they're feeling, there is no way that good does not come out of that conversation. And that conversation does not have to happen right away or start and end right away. It could be a work in progress. Sometimes people have to take a very long time to be able to fix really big issues. I think when people don't hear the other person, when they don't know why the other person acted in a certain way, they start to make up stuff in their own mind. Stuff that are not necessarily real about the other person or about this certain situation. I think it's natural for us to keep thinking about our point of view, to keep thinking about our version of the story, and then our brain automatically comes up with their version too. But their version could never be true until we ask them to talk to us about their experience, about their reasons. And honestly, when people have a conversation, then that is when we understand, okay, maybe I was at fault and I thought you were at fault this whole time. Or, maybe we're both at fault, and that's fine. We can both try to do better. I think when we try to process our emotions, also express them in a diplomatic way, not in a loud way. I think one of the good things that come with it is forgiveness. Because when we hear other people's stories, we're able to see that people are not evil. And most of the times, people don't intentionally hurt us. It's just based on circumstances and the decisions that they make impulsively, or something that they're going through that is like really affecting them and they're not able to like think clearly, or whatever that it is. I think when we choose to hear people out, when we choose to hear their version of the story, we would be able to forgive easier. And when we reflect on our own thoughts and our own emotions, we'd be able to forgive ourselves easier, because we're only human. And it's okay to feel angry, it's okay to feel frustrated, but I think what's not okay is to act on them. And that reflection, that little time that we give ourselves to sit with that emotion and really try to understand it and digest it, will bring a lot of goodness. I think if we have these emotions, we have to pay attention to them. We know that there is reason behind everything that has ever been created. There's reason behind our creation as human beings, and there's reason behind how our body works, how our brain works, how our heart works, how our soul works. And if we don't pay attention to those things, to the details, then I think we'd be missing out on our purpose as human beings. So there is this powerful paragraph written in Prescription for Living by Ruhi Rabbani. It's a book, and if you haven't heard of it or read it, you definitely should get your hands on it, because it's just so amazing. But when I first read this paragraph, I was just so fascinated by it. It says, life, for all its exhilarating activity and its power, is still a stern business in many ways. Sorrow, tragedy, illness, death touch at some point every individual, millionaire or beggar. If you cannot feel deeply, be it joy or agony of soul, you are not much of a human being. For to feel is the very hallmark of living matter. And if, when life is hard or suddenly deals with you a bitter blow, you cannot stand in the fire and burn, eat your portion of pain like a man, enduring it rather than escaping it, you are not only a weakling, but are missing one of the finest things life has to offer you: spiritual discipline. Therefore, people should choose for themselves not only good habits, helpful habits, but also the habits of drawing up from the inner well of their spirits strength and courage to meet and endure the ordeals of life. I think people who choose to understand their emotions, who choose to express their emotions in a healthy way, talk it out, figure it out, and then try their best to move on, they might face criticism. But that criticism comes from the people who choose to do otherwise. And I think like people who choose to do the right thing, or solve their problems in a healthy way, they should be strong enough to not listen to the criticism, and instead invite others with utmost kindness and patience to walk this path with them. If the person that you're trying to talk to is simply not able to express their feelings and thoughts because they've never done it before, hold their hand and take one step at a time with them. Because obviously if it's easier for you, if it's something that comes natural to you, if it's something that you've done for a long time, then you're pretty much the experienced one, you're pretty much the teacher. So I think it's really important to meet people where they are and not expect them to deal with things the way that you do. And this works for both parties. We should try to meet people exactly where they are, and then be open enough to ask for help, also receive it. I thought that maybe I could talk about this and see what you guys think. I would love this to become a space where individuals come together and talk about a certain topic. It's always so helpful to hear what other people think, and it's just an opportunity for all of us to learn. Thank you again for joining me in my closet, and I look forward to the next one. And if you have any questions or suggestions, let me know. Comment below, or I don't know, message me on Instagram, whatever that you are more comfortable with. Okay, I'll see you in the next one.